Before I start with the kind of journey that brought me to here, I've got an omission, first of all, a signed affidavit, if you will, and you can read it there, but I, Toby Reid, never sold anything to other kids at school. I didn't start a computer business whilst at university. I actually finished my degree, and when I started work, I only ever planned to do well in my chosen career. And what was that chosen career? Well, I started life as a graduate of the University of Nottingham. I did civil engineering, master's degree, studied overseas, had a great time, and started work for a multinational engineering consultancy. I won't tell you who they were because I'm going to embarrass them quite a bit in a moment. And I joined their graduate training program. And let's start with the positives. Their graduate training program was fantastic. I did 30 days, I think, in the first 4 or 5 years. We did meeting skills, negotiation skills, report writing skills, presentation skills. I've forgotten most of that one. When we had, a fabulous, fabulous training program, and I was hugely, hugely fortunate to benefit from that. However, I spotted quite a few position A's that I thought could be changed to a B. I noticed that they had a website back in 1996. This website didn't respond to any keyword searching. If you put in engineering consultancy, we didn't appear, and yet we were one of the leading firms in the world. And we had a website that was just paying lip service to having a website. It was doing absolutely nothing for the organization. So I went away and researched it. I looked into meta tags, keyword data, and I found out how to make the website better. And I wrote a memo, and I sent it to the board of directors. And what did I get? Tumbleweed. Absolute silence. Never heard back from them. So I gave up on that. And then I realized that back here in A, there were a lot of graduates who were actually really, really fed up with their lot. I was hearing things like, I don't want to come to work today, I'm directionless, I'm not enjoying my work anymore, I don't understand what I do and how it fits in as part of the bigger picture. And so I thought, we should really do some work with the graduates here, give them much more idea of what they're supposed to be doing, where they fit in, and so on and so forth. So my B was about getting graduates together, pulling the directors together and saying, listen, you've got a real issue here with your graduates. They're not motivated. You're going to lose them if we don't do something about it. And so I did an anonymous survey, and I got lots of that kind of feedback. I don't enjoy my job. I'm directionless, etc., etc., etc. And so the senior directors of the department that I was in at the time said, great, okay, thanks very much. Let's call a meeting, get all the graduates in, we'll get all of the board of directors in, and we'll have a chat about it. We'll debate it. So I said, that sounds very good. They put me up on stage. I presented the findings of the report, and the MD, the first thing he did was basically to tear strips off me. He told me that I lacked professional protocol, that my etiquette within business was terrible, and that there are proper ways to go about doing these things, and frankly, this wasn't it. And then my next job was to ask graduates if they had any questions and if anybody wanted to volunteer any information as to why they were unhappy. Unsurprisingly, they all dived under their desks and left me basically to wither on stage. So, chance to travel, great. Graduate training program, chance to be enterprising? I'm afraid not. And so my first reflection for you as educators, supporters of people who are creating to be more enterprising is, do large employers really, really want enterprising people? Now, they say they do because their policymakers think that they do. But actually, when you start work as an enterprising young individual, you work for middle management. You don't work for the policymakers, you work for middle management. And middle managers just want somebody that does their job not quite as well as they do, so that they can delegate 90% of what they do, but never be threatened by the person who's doing their job for them. And this comes back to some of the stuff that Mike was saying as well, is I believe there's a real difference between enterprising and entrepreneurial. I've put up 2 dictionary definitions there. So it says enterprising, ready to undertake projects of importance or difficulty, or untried schemes, energetic in carrying out any undertaking. Now, I think that defined me working for my multinational engineering consultancy, trying to change the website, trying to change the graduate management policy. That was me. That was going from A to B. Entrepreneurial, a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. Now, what that doesn't say in there, and this is what I think is the real difference between entrepreneurial and enterprising, is cash. It's all about cash. When I started in business after having been an enterprising employee, I didn't focus on money. And that was to our downfall, and that was to our detriment over time. And I think the truly entrepreneurial people who are, whether you argue whether entrepreneurs are born or not, but the ones who are really, really entrepreneurial have a nose for the deal. They know they can buy it in at that, sell it at that, and they make money. And they create systems to generate profit. That's what they do best. Fortunately, however, I knew some, through my time from raising business angel finance and through time at Heath Reid, I knew some people who were involved in an organisation called Growth Investment Network. Growth Investment Network is also backed by EMDA. It's a regional organisation. Our role as an organisation is to make business owners aware of the opportunities to raise finance and to guide them to sources of support and hopefully funding through our network of specialists. And that network is made up of business angels, venture capital funds, specialist lenders, solicitors, accountants, and so on and so forth. And at the time that I was looking for something to do, they were looking for somebody to run their operations. And it involved managing a website, sending out newsletters, organising events, a lot of very similar stuff, and basically creating a community around a common theme, much of it very, very similar to what we were doing at Heath Reid. So I thought, if I don't get this job, you're going to find me swinging from the rafters. And I did get it, and it's been a great experience. It's a great organisation, and we have done a lot of big events and encouraged a lot of people to go on and raise finance and grow their business and raise their ambitions in terms of business owners as well. But the one thing at my time at Growth Investment Network is I spotted a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people in business in the early stages and early throes of business make exactly the same mistakes that I made in the first 6 years at Heath Reid and People. And not only the ones that I made, but the ones that the person that I'd just been watching 2 months ago make. So we were all making the same mistakes. Not all of them, but there was some real common ground, and I just thought, this is ridiculous. How do we share the knowledge and the lessons learned of the people who were making these mistakes? And that led me on to my latest venture. And basically, I haven't answered any of the other reflections, but I'm going to answer this reflection. In fact, I'll just add in as well. It's funny, Mike, that you mentioned about the sales pipeline. I've done a little sales funnel here. I think at the moment there's a risk that we are taking basically the push lemmings off a cliff approach to creating business, that if you encourage enough into the top of the funnel, that some will come out the bottom. And I'm very keen to see and to discuss ways in which we can basically steepen the size of that funnel. You've got a lot of number of ideas being created. Businesses that are being launched are significantly less than the number of ideas that are out there. And businesses that are still successful 2 or 3 years later and actually become growth companies and start employing people are even less. And so my answer to how can you share the experiences that people have got in terms of running a business with those who haven't started it yet, and how can you steepen the size of that funnel ever so slightly, is inafishbowl.com. And the concept behind inafishbowl.com is that we watch, monitor 3 startup businesses as they battle through the early stages of their business life. And by sharing their experiences through Twitter, blog, and video diaries, we as the audience get the chance to learn from their experiences. We won't only learn from their experiences, we will also learn from the advice and commentary that's given to them by expert commentators. And you, us, we, the audience, get your chance to bung in your 2 pennies worth as well and say what you would do in that instance. I don't believe in a lot of cases in entrepreneurship that there is definitely a black and white answer, right and wrong way to do something. What worked in one business at one particular time won't necessarily work in the next business at another time. I think the best way, though, to be educated and to enhance your chances of being successful when you come to decision-making and running your business is to host the debate. And the more we host the debate and more we talk about these things, the better chance you've got of making, if not the right decision, then a good decision when you're running your business.